Folks, welcome to So Bad It's Good. This is your pal Ryan, and this is your Thursday episode. We are doing a full recap slash reenactment of Bravo's The Valley. Hellhole, Hellscape 2025. This episode had it all, folks. It had betrayal, that's every episode. It had the beach. It had butt stuff. Oh, we're going to talk about butt stuff, all right. Get ready. Hold on to your coal mining asses. We are going to talk about butt stuff. It had Jax seemingly potentially on the right path, and then immediately showing us that he was not on the right path in a very thrilling yet scary, very scary scene. We are so desensitized as a reality show viewing culture that I'm like, yeah, no, I think that is scary. That is, you're like, no, it's just an episode of The Valley. No, that is very scary, that last scene. So this one, I think, had it all. Like we said, we've already come to accept this is a dark show. We don't need to keep saying it. It's a dark show, okay? I mean, most shows, if you think about it, have elements of darkness, but this seems to be the main element. And it's that thing of like, this is all a group of friends. And I have to use that term so loosely because you think this group of friends, I mean, they literally all backstab each other. They are all in each other's ears about everybody. I am having a hard time keeping up with who actually is friends and who isn't. And maybe we'll try to do that together as a family at some point this episode. But you're just like, whoa, my head, I'm getting like some sort of stiff neck pain just from whipping my head of going, wait, what? I thought Jasmine was friends with Janet. And now Jasmine whoa, what? This Jason Caperna, at one point in this episode, Jason Caperna tries to walk into the ocean. Like, he's like, I'm done. We are watching one man slowly disintegrate due to reality television. Like, I mean, he legitimately is crumbling. And you almost feel bad for this man. He does not seem to realize that he's in the jungle, baby. You're gonna die. No, really fascinating stuff. Also, MVP goes to Lala. Way to sit there on the beach. Huh? You chew out Jesse last episode, and now you are just sitting on the beach. You are sitting and collecting a paycheck. Just sat there on the beach. Nothing out of Lala. She was like beach. She was like a beach log. Beach log. I was like, is that a thing? A beach log? Yeah, let's have it be a thing. This one really did it for me. And I know a lot of people will disagree with me, but that's okay. We're all going to think differently. Also, tonight or last night aired the Summer House finale, the part 2 of the reunion. We'll be doing a full recap of that on Friday. But I will say, just, listen, in that episode, you even hear Lindsay say, yeah, I'll be back. I think it won't be probably every weekend. So season 10 is a go. There's a lot of Demois rumors going on right now that they were going to do a clean sweep. That is not what I've heard at all. I think there's a lot of things in flux, but I think in flux in a good way. They are definitely doing a 10th season. In fact, you can see that with your own eyes, is that they are all talking about coming back in some form. The ones that I have questions about are Imral, Gabby, and Lexi. And I think Imral, definitely not. And I think Imral, like I speculated last week, I think that will be his own decision, or it was his own decision already before he got offered a second season. And I think that's smart. Usually the people that try a little bit of reality TV and then walk away, those are the people that I think have a better chance at long-term happiness. They might not be nearly as wealthy in the ways that some of these other reality stars have been that have been on 10 seasons, but you're not going to potentially wind up in a mental health facility, right? But I think Lexi, even if you dislike Lexi, you cannot argue that she has not been one of the major points of conversation in this season. So I think it's 50-50 on Lexi. Gabby's the one that worries me. If Lindsay is not back every weekend, Gabby on part 2 of the reunion didn't really have much to say again. She held hands with Lexi the entire second part, it seemed like. And, just small moments, but nothing big. And nothing directed at her as well. I mean, obviously, we're seeing the edited down version. Next week, they're doing a Secrets Revealed episode, or I forgot what they're calling it, but it's a Secrets Revealed, and showing all that footage that we complained about. Wait, in the mid-season trailer, we saw them all hooked up to these pregnancy cramp machines, or these, we're going to see that scene. We're also going to see a scene with Amanda confronting Kyle, or having a conversation with Kyle about that Demois Face Reality 16 post about him potentially hooking up with another girl at Republic in Charleston. I believe that's what that conversation is going to be about. They cut it out of this season, but they are going to air it. I was surprised about the fragility of Kyle and Amanda's relationship. You really sense that even though they do, I think, love each other very much, it is kind of nerve-wracking as an audience member going, wow, these things can slide away so quickly. And you just don't know. Hopefully they're able to get on the same page at some time. But it's a really interesting conversation because Kyle's argument is kind of, I'm going to get while the getting is good. I'm doing all this shit I want to do. And he's telling himself that in his head, he is doing all of this for the future of his family. The family he hasn't even had yet. But in his head, that's what he's doing it for. And Amanda had a very revealing statement of like, I'm just waiting until we sell Loverboy. And, and Andy's like, that's what you're working towards? And Kyle's like, yeah, or partnering. He already threw himself back in the mix, or partnering. And this is his baby. Like, this is his great white whale. This is his rosebud, his obsession. And you can also see where Amanda's accepted that in some ways, but it accepted it in a kind of a dark way where, she said, I had one foot out at one point. And I don't want to see that for that couple. You might, but I don't. But it also is a very realistic thing is that it's so hard for a work-life balance, I find. And especially when you find something that you truly love or are passionate about. And when you're doing these things that you're passionate about, you're not, you think about this magical fairy tale land of everything being perfect, but it just becomes so obsessive that you don't get to put the care and the detail into other aspects of your life. And you give yourself this excuse of, well, I'm doing this for us. I'm speculating right here for the record, folks. But I think it's a very interesting conversation that I would love to hear more of, because I think that's Kyle's problem more than, rumors about Kyle, if that makes sense. I think Paige is on the bubble, not in terms of like, she'll definitely be asked back, but I think there are aspects that if I was Paige and we've seen how Paige operates, I don't think she wants us knowing her dating life. She's very uncomfortable with that. And by the way, most normal people would be very uncomfortable with that, but you're on reality TV. There are interesting questions that are popping up on Summer House that you also see on The Valley, but in a much more haphazard way. In Summer House, it is, all about Lindsay even saying, I'm a public person. Turner is a private person, which, by the way, that was the big reveal. I found this out a little bit ago and I couldn't tell you guys, but the big reveal was she's no longer romantically involved with Turner. And I thought that was interesting. Anyways, we're going to talk about all this on Friday and hopefully some more information will come in. But I figure we'll get cast announcements a week after the Behind the Secrets Revealed episode. That's when I would imagine, because remember, we're brushing up against the 4th of July weekend, which is usually when they start filming Summer House. The fact that we know that, or even I know that, it's sick. We're sick. I'm a disaster. Ryan's a disaster. You're a disaster, as Michelle says, a disaster. Scheana's doing butt stuff. She's a disaster, a disaster. How are you? Are you good? Has the week treated you well so far? I hope so. Love Island, reminder, we'll be recapping, not line to line, but Bergie will be back. Karsten Bergie Bergerson from the Traders and Love Island Season 5 will be on with us, and we'll be doing a weekly Love Island recap to help catch you up. Now, I got a couple DMs already of like, this is horrible. I tuned in for 5 minutes. I told you guys, it's a slow burn, and it's going to feel very uncomfortable at first, and you're going to hate a lot of people immediately. But the colors are amazing. The soundtrack is overpowering. But eventually, I'm telling you, it's just a time commitment, but you're eventually going to dig it. I know that sounds hard to believe. Also, Next Gen NYC, or is it NYC? I think it's Next Gen NYC. That premiered at the same time Love Island did, even though Love Island was late to come on this Peacock streaming app, 40 minutes late. I watched it a second time, and I enjoyed it the second time more than I did the first, and I actually see a lot of potential. I was on the Julia Cunningham show today on SiriusXM, Radio Andy, Channel 102. You can stream it on the app, so you can listen to it at any time. I love Julia Cunningham so much. We are pop culture lovers, and I mean, we're all pop culture lovers. Me talking to you guys right now, each one of you could be on this show, could be on Julia's show. Like we all have something that we love called pop culture, and we now get to talk about it every day. And I got to do her show because Jeff Lewis was in New York this week, so I was allowed to do that. And it was so fun. And we talked Next Gen NYC. And it really is, Next Gen NYC is the spiritual sequel of a one season wonder called NYC Prep. We recapped the entire NYC Prep, I believe, on the Patreon like years and years ago. I swear to God, that's not even a planned plug, but patreon.com/so bad it's good. We're doing a Q&A episode this week and a Valley After Show episode. I'll be doing that, I think, on Friday. NYC Prep is one of my favorite one season shows on Bravo. I think you can stream it on Peacock. So good. So good. PC. I mean, it's just a fantastic one season show. I love it so much. But this is like, if that show had kept going for like 6 years, this is who they potentially would turn into. And I don't even care about the nepotism of it all, of like it's Brooks Marks, Meredith and Seth. I mean, that's great. And there's going to be little moments that you can see because we're going to have Seth. I'm Seth Marks on another Bravo show. Okay. You're going to have those pop-ins from Teresa. I don't know if Kim Zolciak comes in at some point, but they're in the background, but it's all this kind of low level drama about like, a storyline is about a girl doesn't wash her hands in the bathroom and then touches a shoe. So she pretty much has cooties. That's the kind of drama that we're looking at. And sometimes when you're dealing with the Valley, where this is high level drama, this is holy shit, kids and divorce and cheating and all of the big, big things from characters that we've known for over a decade. That to me is high level. This is low level. You might sit there and be like, these kids are dumb. A Bitcoin trader. But you're not going to be like, oh my God, what is the purpose of life? How am I going to there's no hope for the future. Maybe you'll have there's no hope for the future with this. Anyways, also, you know what I loved? I actually watched the premiere of Below Deck with Captain Carey on Monday night. I didn't plan on watching it, actually, and we watched it, and it was really good. I think I'm in for this season of Below Deck. I loved it. And also, it seems like they have a new editing team. I don't know if it's new producers or what, but it was very different. It was a lot flashier than I'm used to. And the opening scene with Frasier was it was just very dynamic and different in terms of editing. And I'm like, I see you. You're doing something a little different, and I like it. But a lot of people seem like messes already in the crew. You gotta love that. There seems to be a lot of sex if you watch the season trailer. A lot of people, girls hooking up with guys hooking up with guys hooking up with guys and girls. It's just a whole bouillabaisse of hooking up, and we're always ready for that, right? So I do recommend Below Deck. What else? What else is going on here, folks? I think we can just hop right into the recap. Oh, this is actually a little a ways from reality TV, but as you know, I love movies and music as well. And I'm reading or listening to the audiobook of this book about the late, great actor River Phoenix. It's called Last Night at the Viper Room. And it takes us through that fateful night on Halloween when River Phoenix died outside of the Viper Room due to being slipped drugs, even though he was kind of well on his way in terms of his own drug addiction he was battling. And this is where it really does matter, not about legacy, but about us keeping these people in the conversation in pop culture. Because River Phoenix, when I was growing up, really was this icon that was gone too soon. We first, grew to love him in the movie Stand By Me by Rob Reiner, even though I was a huge fan of this movie Explorers that he did before that with Ethan Hawke when they were kids, about these kids building a spaceship. Oh my God, I geeked out about that. I used to dream about building a spaceship, and now I dream about Jax Taylor. But then he did Stand By Me, and then he did Running on Empty, which he was nominated for an Academy Award for. And then his the one that I think will really stand the test of time was the Gus Van Sant movie with Keanu Reeves. And it was called My Own Private Idaho, which I think is still just a film that really, really holds up. But you find out through the book, or if you know River Phoenix's life at all, was that he grew up in a semi-large family, but they were also part of the Children of God religious sect, which a lot of people consider a cult. And his growing up, he grew up overseas, and they weren't used to any sort of Hollywood lifestyle at all. And then they come over here on a boat. And remember, River Phoenix's brother is Joaquin Phoenix, who used to be called Leaf, and they all came over here and started getting acting work, but it was all led by River. So River was taking care of his entire family. He was like the great hope for their family. He was having to support them, and they really considered River kind of like a prophet, almost like this guy that was going to grow up to do these amazing things, and they're going to use the money from his film work to really change the world in a lot of ways. And he kind of slowly started getting into alcohol and drugs, even though he would really kind of lie about a lot of that to friends and family. He was a strict vegan. He cared about all of these causes. But then it all ended on the night of October 31st when he was slipped something, allegedly. And there's this horrific 911 call from his brother Joaquin, and Joaquin, younger than his brother, having to call saying, like, my brother's dying, my brother's dying. And still, if you go visit the Viper Room, there's still like shrines to him. They'll be put up from time to time when I go there. And there's so much history in that club, the Viper Room. I've talked about this. I've always, like, my dream offshoot side project would be to do a podcast series about the history of the Viper Room, because this was a club that was co-owned by Johnny Depp. And even aside from that, you had so many different, like, little Hollywood stories going through that club. Like, Tom Petty would go up and do secret sets. You had like an underground, high stakes gambling night there that would take place. Adam Duritz, the lead singer of Counting Crows, in between the albums August and Everything After and Recovering the Satellites, he bartended at the Viper Room. There are so many interesting stories. And then if you pull out, that's part of the whole Sunset Strip, which has this amazing history of its own. And I've always dreamed of doing this project. And one of the episodes would just be dedicated to River Phoenix. He shows up there to see his friends play and then ends up, like his life was just gone like that. And you always wonder about what would have come, what work would have come, how he would have matured into the industry. And if you didn't have somebody like River Phoenix, you wouldn't have somebody like Leonardo DiCaprio, who was younger than River Phoenix, but he was in that same conversation. And this was a time when you had like the upcoming people of Johnny Depp, Keanu Reeves, Brad Pitt. It was very interesting. And River Phoenix was doing some really interesting work, or wanting to do really interesting work. And I always wonder what would have happened. What would have become of River Phoenix? So today, this horrible Valley recap, we are dedicated to River Phoenix. Oh, I just grossed myself out. Okay. You know what? Let's wash all of this away from ourselves. And there's only one way we can do that, and that's through song. The power of song can help us truly get over everything. And when I'm down, there's only one song that I like to listen to, and it is my spiritual song for the Valley, even though the theme song of the Valley is, I'm all right, everything is all right, I'm all right. We're going to throw that song away. As always, I've now put the Valley theme song as Raise Your Glass by Dina Deadly. And it is Thursday, so we celebrate by dancing. I'm sorry, YouTube, you will not be able to see this part due to restrictions. So this is an audio exclusive. Raise your glass. Here we go. Hold on, folks. Whoa! I know it's coming, but I never expect it. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Scheana does butt stuff. Scheana does butt stuff. Oh. Don't let Jax out. Don't let Jax out. This could be the Love Island theme song too, now that I'm thinking about it. If I was a boxer, this is what I'd come out to. We're gonna live forever! Woo! Woo! This is where if I knew how to dance, I'd do a dance move. Should we keep going just for a sec? Okay. Okay, catch your breath, Andrea. Back in the jungle. Okay, raise it up. Pure adrenaline. If I could shoot lasers out of my hands, it would sound like this. Make this one count. It's almost over. It almost brings a tear to your eye, doesn't it? It does it because it reminds us of a time and a place, a happiness that we once had, or maybe still have, but had when we watched this show, when we didn't think about the consequences. And of course, the consequences were the valley. And that's why you have all of this hope listening to this song, and then you know how it ends with the valley, where everything isn't all right, but everybody's pretending it's all right. But back then, when Raise Your Glass, everything, there was possibility. It inspired dreams. It inspired Scheana to do a sponsored post with Preparation H after she revealed she got hemorrhoids from butt stuff on last night's episode of The Valley. We'll talk about that more. Okay, folks, let's do this. Oh my God, every time before I start the actual recap, I get all like nervous and like, and then just like, I'm going to be in this talking about these people for the next couple of hours. This is season 2, episode 8. It is called The Biggest Snake in the Grass. It's all of them, by the way. All of them are the biggest snake in the grass. This is the description the cable company gives us. Tensions boil between Jasmine, Janet, and Jason. The rumor Kristen started continues to wreak havoc. So what that is referring to, last episode, Kristen was tired of Janet potentially coming after Nia and Darkside Danny because of Danny's drinking. So she was like, F it. I'm going to bring up this thing that Jasmine texted me about and told me about and told Zach about Jason Caperna taking off his wedding ring. And I am still really confused on this entire story. And I feel like if we're going to which by the way, Doute gladly admits, even in last week's episode, of like, yeah, I just brought it up to F with them. I don't even believe it. In the after show today, she's like, yeah, like, I don't believe he does. I don't believe he steps out on Janet at all. I'm just doing it to like piss him off because I don't want Janet going after Nia and Danny. So already the rumor is kind of like deflated to the side, but I'm still so curious, the Jasmine of it all, because Jasmine really is, even if you put the show aside, Jasmine has always been really good friends with Janet. So it's very interesting for somebody to like, it's like an FBI informant. It's like somebody's flipping, and I'm like trying to understand the flip. And this is the one thing I will say about The Valley is that, you know, some shows you're like, oh, you're doing this, you know, like they don't have real relationships. These people all did have real relationships before The Valley started. I mean, they've brought like newer people in some way, but some of these people go back a long time, and 2 of those people are Jasmine and Janet. So that's really interesting. And you can tell Zach is really potentially thrilled, even though he has like a truce with Janet right now. You can tell he's absolutely thrilled that Janet is being, you know, just drugged through the mud right now. And it starts off where Janet is all like, yeah, I'm going to take you down to Chinatown if you come after my husband. And then that beach scene happens where Jasmine literally, I don't know if she rehearsed that or if all that just came out of her, but it felt like it was like, whoa, she brought up Karen. It was a good read in terms of reality shows, but you can tell Janet was legitimately thrown by it. And that is what always fascinates me in reality television, is when you see something real. That was a real reaction. Okay, so we start off, we're doing a round robin with the cast, and we start with Jesse Lally, who's in the car with his beautiful daughter, Isabella. And he's like, Isabella, guess what I bought? Cottage cheese. I got cream cheese. And he goes, I got cream cheese. I got booty cheese. And then Isabella's like, what? No! And Jesse's like, yeah, booty cheese. You can have booty cheese for breakfast tomorrow. And Isabella's like, I don't want to have booty cheese for breakfast. And you could tell also Isabella is holding a walkie-talkie, which is obviously one of the crew members' walkie-talkies. So Isabella's like, give me your walkie-talkie so I can play with something in the child seat. I don't want booty cheese. And that's pretty much all we really see of Jesse Lally this episode. I mean, I think we see him one other time, but he wasn't invited on that beach day. We move over to Brittany's Airbnb. And remember, last week we got the revelation that while Jax is in this mental health facility, which we need the mental health facility to go on record at this point. I really need to know all of their ways, because it seems like they run it in a very different way than I've heard of other facilities. You can legitimately go out and you can go back to your house and you can go to the gym, you can go to parks. I mean, there's a lot of freedom at this facility. And we found out that Jax was not paying the mortgage because he was like, come on. The bank people know that I'm doing this probably, right? And the after show goes into this in so much more detail. Whew. Anyways, Brittany is back at the house and Brittany's like, Cruzy, come here. You got something in your nose. Come here. I'm going to kiss you. The dogs are barking. He's like, Kingsley, don't start. I don't need it right now, Kingsley. Please, what is my life right now? What is it? Also, I do want to say, listen, Cruz, Brittany revealed, is on the autism spectrum. And I was always saying the kids throw themselves around Cruz. And that is, obviously that is something people on the autism spectrum, especially kids, people have wrote into me to let me know that is a very common occurrence. But I also think that is one of the things that we do have to I don't mean acknowledge him throwing himself around, but you have to keep remembering is that this is something that Brittany is going through and Jax is going through as well. But while Jax is away, Cruz is Brittany's primary focus, I would imagine. And, I don't think, this doesn't seem to make Brittany lose a step. I mean, she's handling all of this with grace. And I think it will be hopefully really exciting to watch Cruz grow, because it seems like they have a lot of classes that they are doing with him in terms of like different therapists and things of that nature. So I hope for the best. And that's the bad side as well, is that I always talk about the use of kids in the Valley is sometimes the darkest part of it for me, because it reminds me that, man, they are caring for young kids. It's dark, right? So we get out of Brittany and then we're now over to Janet's and we see Janet and Jason's baby. And their baby is, it seems like, eating a scarf, and it's a blue scarf, and Janet's like, blue, and Jason's like, it's purple, and he's like, blue, and so now we find out that Jason Caperna is potentially colorblind. That is another dark element. Jason is fully colorblind. He has no idea what any colors are, and I think that is something that wasn't focused on enough, is that this guy has no idea what colors are. So we skip out of that. And this is the first time we saw their baby. All the babies and kids are cute on the Valley. I don't think we have any uggos, right? And now we're at Scheana and Brock's. And Scheana, you guys, making her famous enchiladas. Oh my God, Sheena's famous enchiladas. There's enough of throwbacks to the past and legendary little moments. But can you imagine? And also, Scheana, just the face of bravery, and the fact that we do know now that Sheena's suffered from hemorrhoids, and it's not keeping her down. She is still pounding away at Mexican food. Sheena's famous enchiladas will not go away because of Sheena's butt problems. No way. Anyways. So we have a whole cast of characters over at Sheena's. Brittany's there, Janet's there, Jason's there, Brock's outside watching the kids. And Janet goes up to Brittany and is like, hey, Jax has been texting me today. And Brittany's like, oh God. And he just said, hey, are you guys okay? And I said, yeah, we're okay. We're dealing with our own stuff, but proud of you for staying in there. And Brittany's like, please God, stay in there. I'm so over it. I love that Jax is really doing a full sweep of texting everybody, even Janet. Brittany in a talking head goes, I think I was holding on to a lot of hope that rehab would really help him. I still wanted him to fight for me a little bit. And that statement is wild to me. Like I thought she had already accepted that they were done the day, if not before, because they had already been separated for such a great amount of time that I thought she was just over it already. But she's saying here in this talking head, she potentially wanted him to fight for her. Wow. What? Anyways, Brock comes and interrupts and he's like, how are you feeling, Brittany? And she's like, I'm kind of numb. You know, I have too much going on. I can't focus. I got to focus on a lot of things right now. Just moving slow. In a talking head, she goes, him just going and signing this lease without talking to me and knowing that I still had this rental home for 2.5 more months. He just really screwed me over. And remember, he's moving next door to Tom Schwartz. And Brock's like, well, I'm going to go play with Summer. That's as slow as it gets. So if you guys want to come hang out, we'll be outside. I love that Brock is just he's just the dad / babysitter. Brittany says, I need to move on. I just know I deserve better. In the after show, you guys, oh my God, it gets even darker because it turns out Jax is going into her drawer in the bedroom and counting her condoms. Anyways, now they're outside and Janet's still talking to Brittany, talking about the beach, talking about the day before Brittany's party. That's, you know, they had that party where Jason confronted Doute and Luke about this ring rumor. Janet says it was really heavy. It was a lot of bam, 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 bam. Welcome to reality television. And Brittany's like, I was having fun until the cameras left. And Janet's like, well, what happened? Where do we even begin? Janet in a talking head says at Brittany's shark party after filming ended, Scheana was talking to Zach. I was like, okay, that's already crazy. And also, after filming Wrapped, no, there is no after filming Wrapped. We should be filming constantly. You're telling me storyline happened? Like when cameras go, you guys all disperse. You should not be hanging out, or they need somebody with like a secret camera just walking around this party. We should never be wrapping filming. So Janet says she mentioned Jared and Zach said some pretty horrible things. Zach said some pretty horrible things about Jared. And remember, Jared is one of Janet's besties. We saw him more on last season. And Janet says, I can't even repeat what Zach said. Why don't you just say like he should go fuck himself? Just be a little bit nicer, not so wildly offensive, Janet says. So I guess Zach said something really horrible about Jared. And Brock's like, yeah, he said something. And then Scheana said he said something. And, you know, and Brady's like, hey, thanks. Zach thinks that I'm always picking their side over his side. Like, I'm with Zach a lot. I don't know why he still feels that way. I think that's why he was saying, you're a bad friend. Like last night, he texted me saying I was a bad friend because I'm not picking his side. I mean, if you say something so out of pocket, how do you just stand next to your friend, right? Now we go over to Luke and Kristen's new place, and Zach is over there. So it's dueling stories. And Zach's like, I thought I said Jared can go fuck himself. She says I said something more aggressive. Why can't we ever find out the more aggressive thing? And Doute is wearing a Valley Mentality hat, and she goes, yep, been there. Yep. And if you see on the little nightstand table, she has a bottle of potion something wine, which I believe is the Witches of WeHo line. Remember Katie, Stassi, and Doute used to have the Witches of WeHo, and then they actually had wine that they sold? I think that's that. Which, by the way, you should save that wine. That should be in a very nice wine collection. You shouldn't be drinking that in a scene with Zach. Zach's like, Brittany then came out and was like, what did you say? Like, so aggressively, Kristen. And I'm like, ugh. Zach in a talking head goes, I'm sorry, is hyperbole dead? Brittany knows me. Like, if I'm talking and I'm angry, nothing I'm saying is out of pocket or out of what, like, I'm not threatening anybody. Can we get that out of it? Like, there's no threats going on. Like, I didn't threaten to, like, fucking gut him, okay? Doute in the scene goes, that would trigger me if she came up to me and said, what did you say? Or what did you do? I would say, how about ask them? Stop fucking asking me how I started it. So Doute trying to teach Zach some of her ways. Like, hey, bud, this is what I would do in this situation. I would take that and I would spin it right around. Zach. Study at the altar of Doute. The producer, after Zach keeps talking about hyperbole, the producer goes, yeah, but how many people in this group do you think knows what hyperbole is? And Zach's like, no, they don't. But I want America to learn. So America, today's word is hyperbole. Look it up. Okay, you know what? We will look it up, Zach. I already know what it is, but, let's learn together in case somebody doesn't. Hyperbole is, right, when you blow something out of proport. What if it's like the top search on Google after the Valley? It's exaggerated statements or claims not meant to be taken literally. So Zach's whole character is hyperbole in a sense, right? Or he can blame everything on hype. By the way, the show should just be called Hype. So Zach then reveals to Kristen, he's like, sometimes I feel like Brittany doesn't hear me. Or like, because she knows I'm always going to be there, and Doute's like, she kind of just doesn't fucking care. And Zach's like, yeah. And Kristen's like, yeah. Zach, we see this in the midseason trailer that Zach's screaming at Brittany. So this is kind of Zach's storyline about wanting Brittany to have his back. This seems to be a big thing in Zach's storyline this season. And Doute's like, yeah, that's it. And Zach's like, yeah, that's it. When I moved to LA by myself, Zach says in a talking head, Brittany was the only person I knew. That's my family. I definitely have missed having that connection. Sometimes I feel like I've lost a part of myself because I don't have her the way I used to have her. Is this Jax just in a different font? Is this like a gay version of Jax? Or, what I'm saying is that, like, you don't need... I understand the concept of not being as close to a friend as you once were. Imagine also being like the person, imagine Brittany being the person that you knew in Los Angeles. But he's like, things are just different. And it's hard because it is one of those things. I'm like, well, God, look what Brittany's dealing with, man. Unfortunately, your relationship with Brittany is going to take a little bit of a back seat. And Zach's like, there's got to be a talk. And the producers are like, yes, there's got to be a talk. And Kristen's like, yeah, this is how we fix it. A talk. And then Zach makes a very childish, putting his finger down his throat motion. We go back to Scheana's, and Scheana gives us an update on the enchiladas. I'm putting the enchiladas in the oven. And so everybody's at like the kitchen island. Scheana has a huge kitchen island. Scheana's revealing the process for her enchiladas, saying, the cheese is like super melted, but I do like 25 to 30 minutes usually. I was like, let's just reveal the whole recipe, Scheana. So Jason walks in as Janet's talking, saying, can I vent about yesterday? And Janet's like, oh, good, Jason, you're here for this. Do you have your wedding ring on? Ha 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 ha. And Brittany's like, playa, 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 playa. Janet's like, Kristen, in a roundabout way, told us that she heard from Jasmine that Jason goes to bars and takes off his wedding ring. Like implying that and Jason's like, implying that I'm out there on these streets. And Sheena's like, I could totally see it. Jason goes, I'm out like at LAX hotel bars, just like picking up flight attendants or something. Rebecca was like, well, that's a very specific detail of like, whoa, nobody said you were at LAX picking up stewardesses and stuff like that. Is that what you're doing, Jason? Anyways, Janet's like, oh, there's someone in this group that's trying to cheat and failing, and it's not my guy. It's not mine. And Brittany's like, Janet and I talking to it says, I'm both impressed and annoyed with how good Kristen is at creating distractions and filling up bullshit in a room to distract from the truth. Now you're going to have people talking about Jason and what kind of husband he is, and he's going to the bars and being shady. And what are we not talking about? Danny actually going to the bars and being shady. Woo! So this is interesting if you look at it from, if you kind of step back and look at it from that thing I was talking about last week of two people vying for power of the valley, Janet and Doute. and they both use similar tactics. Because what Janet is complaining about right here is distraction. And some say the Danny thing could be a distraction from Jax and Brittany. Like just throwing that out to begin with is a distraction in itself. So they're using similar tactics. It's just that Doute has more seasons under her belt. She's a seasoned professional in distractions. And Janet recognizes, she's like game recognizing game. And Janet, I think, is like feeling strong here, but then later on gets taken down a notch. And Scheana says, Jasmine was invited today. She didn't come because of you and because she hates Scheana's enchiladas. And Jason's like, well, here's the real thing. Jasmine made this shit up. And then she told Kristen because she wanted to get back at Janet for whatever she wanted to get back at Janet for. And now that Kristen said it, she's scrambling for ways to say that she didn't just make it up. And Janet's like, that is not my friend. Now, think about the reality of this. If Jasmine and Janet truly are friends, aside from the show, that would be a wild thing to get thrown out. And I am questioning still why Jasmine, who I like very much in this show, why did she save something like this for the Valley? Or why was this going around, if you are good friends with Janet, of why you didn't come to Janet with this, or even Jason with this? Like, they truly are good friends. And Scheana's like, if Jason ever took off his ring, it was probably like, I've had a little too much sodium today. Like my fingers are swelling. And then they're all laughing. Oh, Jason's a nerd. Jason's not a pervert. He's a nerd. And Janet's like, Jasmine knows him. She knows his character. What if Jasmine was like, I thought I knew his character, and then he agreed to be on the Valley, and then I was suspect. Which, by the way, didn't Scheana and Jason Caperna hook up at some point, like pre-Janet? Anyways, Brittany really gets a kick out of this. She's like, ha, 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 ha. Jason's like, the other thing, too, is like, when I first heard this, I just kind of laughed it off, and I didn't realize, but then I sat with it and thought about it more, and I got a little bit more upset. Janet says, when we got back to see my mom and Cameron, their child, after yesterday, we were laughing it off. I was like, ha ha, Kristen and Jasmine started this little thing that Jason like takes his ring off. And my mom was like, they said, what? And she got like visibly upset. Bring Janet's mom on. Let's get Janet's mama. Come on. We need Janet's mom on the Valley. Janet says, and then this morning I was like, wait, this is bullshit. I expect bullshit to come spewing out of Kristen's mouth, but I don't expect it out of Jasmine. And then Jason's like, unless Jasmine apologizes for making this up, I cannot move forward with her. And Janet's like, same. Now, a lot of people will say like, oh, this dude, Janet was in his ear. It's not Janet's mom. This guy is whipped. Which, by the way, there is nothing wrong with being whipped. Like that is somebody kind of like listening to their partner, which we don't see a lot of on reality television at all. But it is, I'm curious, maybe we do need Janet's mom on to clarify and vouch that this conversation happened. Because I would expect that Janet is smart enough to go home and be like, what the fuck was that? Because you saw them joking at Brittany's shark party and she was laughing it off and something did happen. What happened in that interim? The after show gives us a little more clarification is that Janet started rage texting, according to Jasmine, and being like, what the fuck? And Jasmine was like, she didn't even have the courtesy to call. She was like rage texting, right? Anyways, Jason keeps going, I need to hear, I'm sorry. And Janet's like, has Kristen Doute ever apologized for anything in her fucking life? No, she's sorry that she got caught. Girl came after my husband. Good luck. You just put a target on your back, bitch. Woo! Janet feeling high and mighty. You put a target. Doute eats those kind of threats for breakfast. Brock's like, hey, Janet, are you done? Are you done? And she's like, let's eat enchiladas, bitches! Woo! Things take a dark turn. Okay, so now we move to the beach, and Janet and Jason get there first, and we find out that Janet got a metal detector for her 30th birthday, and that is perfect for Janet. She wants to find out the beach's secrets, the sand secrets. So perfect gift for Janet. And then Brittany's there, Michelle and her boyfriend, the hot honey man, Aaron, are there, Jason's there. And Brittany's like, Janet, I told Jasmine, I told her that you guys want an apology and stuff, and she's not here for it. And Jason's like, hey, Brittany, what did she say? And Janet's like, Jason, Jasmine's going to double down. We're looking at a double down scenario, right? And we flash back to Jasmine and Brittany, and Jasmine's like, she's getting nothing from me. And Brittany's like, oh, Lord. I heard it from a bunch of other people, Brittany. Who am I going to go to her and be like, Jason's taking off his ring? Because it didn't matter to me. How didn't it matter to you if you are close friends with? That is the part that I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around. Brittany in the talking head is like, I'm not really sure why people have had issues with Janet. She's been there for me no matter what. I like her better than Zach. I don't see her as this big drama starter and stuff like everybody else does, because that's just not my friendship that I have with her. Brittany in the scene goes, but she did say she didn't even think it's true. I'm just letting you know. Janet's like, well, either way, somebody who's making something up or takes something she doesn't think is true and runs to someone I'm not talking to at the time and repeats it, that's not a friend. Janet, I want to say this very slowly and succinctly. Everybody you are talking to at the beach, everybody in this show, they are all talking about rumors, about you, about everybody else. That is the show. That is the log line. Anyways, we see Doute, Luke, and Jasmine pull up. So it is interesting. Like, we've got battle lines drawn. And Doute just always comes in just so casual. She's like, I have no sense of direction here on this beach. Like, when I used to go to the Grove all the time before I used to valet, I would lose my car every time. Kristen's like, I've left cars at the Grove. I've had to get new cars because I have not remembered where to park, but now I valet. Janet sees her coming. Janet was going to go to the bathroom. Doute in a talking head says, today is going to be a shit show. It's cold. It's windy. Jasmine's over Janet. I'm over Janet. I now want Doute to do weather reports. It's cold. It's windy. And everything is breaking down. We're going to hell. Anyways, Brittany sees them. Hey! Doute says the rumor about Jason taking his ring off, Janet was fine with it at Brittany's party. And we flash back to that, and she did seem like she was just laughing it off. And Jason seemed like he was laughing it off, right? It's like, whatever, man. Doute says, but now I heard it from a little birdie, a.k.a. Scheana, that Janet is talking shit. What? Scheana? Scheana's involved? Why couldn't we see this scene? So Scheana took that information and related to Doute? I mean, did you send like a messenger like pigeon or something like that with this information? Like, even Scheana is revealing information, like boots on the ground. Scheana's like, I've got something. I'm in the bathroom because of my hemorrhoids. Doute goes, I mean, I did bring up the ring rumor about her and Jason, but stop talking about Danny and Nia and I won't have to come for you. I mean, here's somebody clearly relaxed and comfortable in the power that has been given to her, right? So they're setting up their little beach thing. There's some awkward hellos. Hey, hey, hey. We know Jasmine is fired up because she has a talking head. She's like, Janet's expecting an apology. That apology, she can shove it up her ass because she's not getting one from me. Woo! She's like, I didn't start anything, so why am I apologizing? For what? And I didn't bring it up to you. So again, what am I apologizing for? I think maybe it's that you didn't bring it up to her. You brought it up to somebody else. I'm just guessing on this one. Jasmine's just casually eating chips. And then we have Scheana. Scheana's like, hey, I just told Doute information. And we have pregnant Lala coming. And this is really the most that Lala's going to do is walk to the chair that she sits at, right? Great stuff. Everybody keeps pointing out the fact that Brittany drove here. And Kristen's like, you drove here? You hate driving. This is really far. And she's like, it is really far in really shitty traffic. But then she goes, I got a hot date after this. Why do you think I'm so dressed up? I didn't even think she was dressed up, you guys. And they're like, she has an actual date. And they're like, oh, he's so hot, whoever this guy is. In a talking head, she goes, things have been so terrible between me and Jax. And I just feel like there's no going back. And now I just need to put myself first. And I've got a crush on somebody. I haven't felt like butterflies or anything like that in a long time. So it's nice. Good for her. So she says she's going to go to her rental for the date. And they start talking about Janet's metal detector again. And Jason, he's like, well, there's actually a lot of metals on the beach. I will speak about metals on the beach. And Brittany's like, well, people lose their wedding rings and stuff. I swear to God, the producer was like, bring up wedding rings. Bring up wedding rings. And then Janet picks up on that and says, oh yeah, maybe Jason took his ring off. And then there's just silence. And there's a shot of Jason and he ain't having it. He's just like, I can't believe my good name of Caperna has been misaligned. And Brittany's like, let's play truth or dare. Let's play truth or dare. And Brock's like, why do we always be playing truth or dare? And Kristen's like, I'm not playing truth or dare with this fucking group of people. She goes, are you out of your goddamn mind? And Jasmine's like, I don't want to sit around here. So Jasmine and Doute walk like 30 feet away. And then Brittany's like, okay, truth or dare, Janet? She's like, truth. And then Jasmine, they keep intercutting their dialogue. And Jasmine's like, I'm not doing this. And then she's making little comments. Oh, you want to take about taking ring off? Bitch, say what you got to say to my face right now. Brittany's like, what was the craziest sex you ever had, Janet? Janet's like, obviously missionary in bed with Jason. And Brittany's like, no, in your life, girl. In your life. Back to Jasmine. She's like, she's on my neck. I'm trying not to. But there, there's a time and place for everything. Janet says, okay, Scheana, truth or dare? Folks, okay, well, let's just, this is some adult themes right here. So just prepare yourself for what's about to happen. So Sheena's like, truth. And Brittany's like, how big is Brock's dick? And Jasmine's like, you hear her over there? Like, this doesn't make sense to me. And then Sheena's like, no, it's the girth. I feel like that matters more than length. The whole time Brock is just like scrolling on his phone. He's like, hey, she's talking about the girth of my old Johnson. Yeah. So Sheena's using hand motions to what looks like a 2-foot dong. And she's like, it's not this, okay? It's not this. And there's a shot of Luke just shrugging it off of like, okay, yeah. And then Scheana gives way more information than we needed. She goes, it perfectly fits in all holes. All holes. We cut to Jasmine going, I just can't. And the audience is like, I just can't. And then Scheana continues to give us information we didn't ask for. She goes, but after one, I did get hemorrhoids. So, and Jenna's like, you got hemorrhoids after he put it in your butt? And Michelle's like, you're a disaster. She goes, wait, what? I missed that. And Jenna goes, oh, she got hemorrhoids after Brock put it in her butt. And Scheana goes, so then when I got him again after I had summer, I was like, oh, been there. And everybody's like, ha, 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 ha. And at home I was like, oh, no, oh my God. This kind of honesty is what I want out of my reality stars, okay? It was information I didn't expect to get. It was information I didn't need. And at the same time, I'm like, whoa, take that, Vanderpump Rules. Scheana just admitted getting hemorrhoids from anal. Do we have to look anal up like we did with that other word? Do we have to look? No, but anal is, it's butt stuff, folks. And Sheena's just fully, yeah. She's like, yeah, it's crazy. Brock is still on his phone, but Brock on his phone, he has his tongue out. He's like, yeah, I gave her hemorrhoids. I did it. Ah. And Brittany's like, he's a grower, not a shower. And Brock's like, 100% a grower. Ah. Jasmine's like, that's like the worst. And we just keep going on with the game. Sheena's like, Michelle, truth or dare? And Michelle's like, I knew that bitch was going to call me. Also, just a quick update. I woke up today to Scheana doing a sponsored post on Instagram from Preparation H. And it's a whole bit of like Science by Scheana, where she walks us through hemorrhoids and why you need Preparation H. And it just got me thinking. I'm like, holy shit. I mean, it was genius in a way. Because I was like, wow, she admitted something on that beach that everybody is going to run with. And even I was like, you know what? Let's not make a meme about this. Let's respect, once it gets to anal, that we try to stay classy to some degree. Somebody needs to have some class. And then she has a sponsored post from Preparation H. And I was like, what? I need a whole documentary on how that sponsored post happened, because I was like, did Scheana already have a deal with Preparation H? And they were just like, Scheana, at some point in the Valley this season, we need you to bring up hemorrhoids. And she's like, got it. I can do it. And so every scene, Sheena's been waiting to try to bring up hemorrhoids. And that Baywatch phone call, she was like, oh, Jesse, your girlfriend hooked up with a guy from Baywatch. Ah, my hemorrhoids. She couldn't do it there. She couldn't do it last week. So finally she was like, now I can say hemorrhoids. Or did she know this scene was coming and then her team reached out to Preparation H and it's like, guys, we've got something really hot for you. We've got, you know that new kind of advertising you've been looking for? Well, listen to this. That is the way to spin gold, folks. I mean, like turning anal misery into money. Come on. Scheana, yes. So now it's Michelle's turn. And Brooke's like, what's your most embarrassing thing that's ever happened during sex? And Michelle's like, it's embarrassing I even had sex with Jesse Lally. And then Janet's like, yeah, Michelle, have you ever gotten it up the butt? And Michelle pauses and laughs. And she's like, no, Janet, no. Just like poor families on the beach going, oh my God, stay away from that. It's all anal over there. And by the way, beautiful sunset. I was so caught up in the anal of it all that I didn't appreciate the great camera work of the sunset because we were talking about the devil's door, right? So Jasmine and Doute get back. Everybody, they're making s'mores now. They're debating what's the perfect s'more. Is it marshmallow always first, then chocolate, then graham cracker? There's a fire lit on the beach, potentially how the California wildfires started. And everybody's laughing, and Jason's talking to Janet going, what do you want to do? And Janet's like, if she wants to make it right, we're here. We showed up. It's not up to us to initiate conversations, I think, with somebody who clearly doesn't give a shit about us. Jason's like, maybe something's being lost in the grapevine. Let's go directly to the source. Jason's like, let's go directly to the source and see if she wants to talk. And this is where you can tell Jason is a rookie in reality television because he wants to call out the problem and fix it immediately instead of just talking to other people about the problem than the person it has to deal with. So Jason's like, you ready? He looks so serious, right? So Jason's like, let's go. And she's like, I need one more minute. He's like, okay. Jasmine's talking about being a Girl Scout, roasting marshmallows, whatever. Janet seems just like preparing herself like a boxer. So Janet's like, Jason, ask her if she wants to talk because she may not even want to. And this is where you really see the sunset, folks. I just want to take one more second with this. I mean, this is just beautiful cinematography and camera work. Jason a long way around to walk up to Jasmine. What if Jason just tackles her? Ah! No, he goes, hey, Jasmine, you have a minute to chat? And then we cut to break. Jasmine accepts Jason's, invitation to talk. Jason in the talking head says, I don't want people's impression of me to be that I'm just a dirtbag who goes out cruising for chicks. And for Jasmine to be the one who put that out there in the first place, it's really hurtful. Jason would rather the first impression be that he's on the cast of The Valley. So they step aside from the group. Janet kind of slowly walks over and Jason's like, all right. So I'm like really confused about a lot of stuff. He takes off his sunglasses finally. And she goes, yeah, what do you want to know? He goes, what's going on? And Jasmine's like, the ring thing? I heard it years ago. I didn't care then, and I don't care now. And Janet's like, how many years ago? And Jasmine immediately is like, let me finish, Janet. You're not cutting me off because this is what you do. And Janet's like, done. And Jason's like, Janet, stay. And Jasmine's like, let me talk, Janet. Like, Jasmine is at a 10. And she's like, you're yelling, Jasmine. I am yelling because you keep interrupting. This is you. You walked away. And Jasmine's like, all I did was ask a follow-up question. No, you said, let's go. Jason's like, Janet, she's being defensive right now. Jasmine's like, I am talking to Jason right now. Let me talk to him. And Jason's like, don't be so defensive, Jasmine. And Janet's like, well, where did you hear about it? And Jasmine's like, I heard it from a group of friends from Canada that I knew a long time. No, she goes, I heard it from a group of friends. I'm not a snitch. I'm not snitching on people. I'm not snitching on people. I do talk behind people's backs. I'm not snitching. I do spread rumors behind people's backs, though. She goes, a lot of people heard this. Melissa heard it, too. A lot of people did. I didn't care. And Jason's like, you heard this rumor 2 years ago, and then you just sat on it? And Jason's like, no, listen, the fact that it was brought up, that sucks. That sucks. I'm going to blame Kristen on that one. But I'm telling you for a fact, I did not believe it then. I do not believe it now. And Jason's like, what do you mean it was brought up? That sucks. What does that mean? And Janet's like, you brought it up to Kristen, Jasmine. And Jasmine's like, whatever. Whatever. Let's not get lost in the details. The fact that it was brought up, I don't care. And Janet keeps going. Janet keeps going, you brought it up. You brought it up. And Jasmine turns to Janet. Janet, I need you to shut up right now. And Jason's like, Jasmine, come on. We're not. And Jasmine's like, no, I'm not. And they're all just like kind of talking over each other. And Jasmine's like, Jason, I keep trying to talk to you. And she keeps going like, Jasmine. Da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. Doute, like, now looks over like, ooh, things are happening. And then Jasmine hits her with this. Janet, you have been a shitty-ass friend. You are a fucking vibe killer. You're exhausting. You give Karen energy. And I'm fucking done with it. And Janet, like just sucker punch. And you could tell it's like, ooh. Scheana looks over. Hemorrhoids obviously hurting. Lala doing nothing. Brittany in a talking head goes, good riddance to my beach day. And Jason's like, what? And Jason's like, we're done. We're done. We're done. Brock, being very honest, he's like, I'm listening to you here by this fire, but my ears are over there. And Jasmine walks away. I'm done. I'm not about that. I'm not about that. I didn't make up this shit. Doute's like, ooh, did I do that? And Jason is like headed towards Jasmine. And Jason's like, everyone needs to know this. Everyone here, this is the fakest, most two-faced. I looked out for you, Jasmine. And Jasmine's like, it's not fucking fake. Jason's like, I looked out for you forever. And she's like, I know you have, but I'm talking about her right now. So that's what I'm saying, is that this is personal for Jason, because Jason really does consider Jasmine a friend, that I looked after for you forever. This pre-show, folks. And Jason's like, I've always looked at you like a sister. And Jasmine's like, oh my God, Jason. And Jason's like, you broke my heart. You broke my heart. It's very Godfather Part 2. And Jasmine's like, your friend said it. Your friend said it. And Janet's like, you're a liar. Jasmine's a liar. And Janet's like, let's go, Jason. And Jason literally starts walking towards the beach like he's going to walk into the ocean. I was like, holy shit. Janet's like, let's go. And he's like, yeah. And he just starts walking towards the beach. I'm like, no, Jason, no. Janet's like, Jasmine's a mess. Jason, wrong what? Jason, let's go. In a talking head, we see this man breaking down. He looks more just, he's slowly, this is like, if you watch The Valley from the point of view of Jason, like, this is one man being broken down by a reality television. I'm scared for the final episode. He's like running errands for Jax. He's dead, like getting talked shit about. I mean, it's wild. So every talking head, he looks like he just hasn't gotten sleep. He's like, this seems like Jasmine has not only despises Janet, but like has for a long time. And it just making me second guess our entire relationship. And I think like how much of this is fake and how much of this is real. Because I'm starting to understand why the people that I was friends with in Vanderpump Rules, how they slowly had a descent into madness. Jason's like, have fun looking at yourself in the mirror, Jasmine, and looking at every single person here. You're going to do this to every single person here, to every other person here. And Jasmine's like, what are you talking about? Jason's like, you're two-faced. And then Jasmine says something very honest. He's like, we all talk about each other. And Jason goes, no, we don't. I don't talk about anybody. The producers just hang their heads in shame. Like, we wish he would. We sure wish he would. He goes, I'm a regular person. I don't talk shit about anybody. This literally could be the rest in peace Jason Caperna. Jason was never seen again on the Valley. And then talking to that, Jason goes, for somebody who I've invested in a relationship with, I really value that. That means a lot to me. This whole thing, it's like a different side of Jasmine that I don't know who brought it out of her, because Janet and I haven't done anything to her. So even that, he's given her this life rep, like somebody brought this out of her, which I think that would point, or he's maybe suggesting Doute. Jasmine keeps going, it was 2 years ago. And Jason's like, you're the biggest snake in the grass. The biggest snake in the grass has been under my nose this whole time. And Jasmine's like, Jason, it's not even about you right now. Jason keeps just going, I've always cared about you so much. Janet picking up her metal detector. And Jasmine sits down and they're like, she's not worth it. She's not listening. Two-face. Lala kind of weakly waves at Janet. Once again, great stuff. Great stuff. Michelle and Hot Honey Man are just eating their s'mores as Janet is like walking off with the metal detector. Jason looks completely lost. And they're talking about his friends, and Jasmine's like already like, dude, your friends don't even fuck with you. They're my family. Now I want to know these friends. We got to get these friends on. Janet is like, she just showed us exactly who she is. Exactly who she is. And now I don't have to have any loyalty to her. Janet's like, now the gloves are off. Lala does turn to Brittany and goes, this is the best beach day I've ever had. And Brittany's like, and Jasmine's like, listen, I was at the party. I said this to Jason yesterday. He goes, that makes sense. And then Scheana goes, but then they said you made it up. That's what they told Jason. And Jasmine's like, no. And then Doute goes, listen, Scheana, Jasmine did not tell me, just so everyone knows. So now Doute's saying Jasmine didn't tell her. So maybe it's Jasmine to Zach to Doute. Back to Jason. Jason's like, who is this random group of guys she's even talking about? It's the Hells Angels. Brock like runs up. He's like, hey, Jason. Janet's like, she's fake. That was insane. Cut to Jasmine. Jasmine going, I love Jason. Like the shit I have with Janet, I have other shit I need to talk to her about. But I can't because she fucking wants to storm away. Oh, come on. Jasmine's like, I'm talking to Jason about it. I'm Jason trying to, but because I get emotional because I like him. And then Janet's like, you're fake. Jasmine's like, I'm like, would you shut up so I can talk to him? Jasmine says in a talking head, I think Janet's so used to me being that kind of friend that just takes her shit, dumps things on me, manipulates me, whatever. And I kind of just like brush it off. But now Jason doesn't want to have a one-on-one conversation with me because Janet won't allow it. Because Janet can't let Jason do anything by himself. Clearly, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing it, Jasmine says. In the beach, she says, I'm just so annoyed because I knew her way back before half all you guys back. So I cherish that, Jasmine says. But now I'm like, they won't even let me talk to you. She says, I've never had an issue with Jason. We always looked out for each other. But being the only black people in the group, because Jason is half black as well, right? She says, we have each other's back. And we just like have this like language, we kiki and joke about things. They're over here and saying they're hurt. And I'm like, well, I'm hurt too. I'm a little emotional about it. So I'm trying not to get emotional about it because it pisses me off. Jasmine just goes, fuck. We cut to Jason. Jason looks like he is tearing up. He's like, I've known Jasmine for a long time, and it's hard for me to talk about it right now because it was shocking. I mean, And Janet's like, we were friends with her for 7 years. As long as I've known Scheana, he's been friends with her. And the fact that I can't even be like, you said it. Why did you say it? Cut back to Jasmine. Jasmine going, he's so whipped. I know he's not doing shit. And then Michelle goes, correct. Michelle, where did that correct come from? I thought Michelle was fine with Jason and Janet, but Michelle is correct. What does that mean? And Brittany's like, why is this even being brought up? We already squashed all this. And Jasmine's like, I didn't bring it up. I don't know. I didn't bring it up. I will say, though, listen, it is so easy to, obviously, everybody has issues with Janet. I think Jason handled this like an average person would handle this. Like there seems to be actual shock and actual hurt. This seems to be a pattern with Jasmine, though, and information. And I think she is a star in the Valley. And I think she is going to have to kind of accept certain things she said. And I think what is really truth here is that she said, we all talk shit about each other and behind each other's back. And I think she got caught up in this one maybe a little too far, and she's really doubling and tripling down. And I think you're going to eventually see an apology from Jasmine to Jason. I could be wrong. Anyways, Janet's saying, I'm done. She acted like she was our friend. And Janet in a talking head says, wow, you felt this way for me a long time and I just hadn't noticed? Like it really feels like you didn't give a shit about me. Yes, I mean, it does not seem like she gives a shit about you. Janet says, we are not friends and we haven't been in a while. And it's hurtful. Man, you can just see this conversation flying at the reunion. You know it is. Anyways, Brock's like, well, bye, Karen. Anyways, gotta go talk about Scheana's hemorrhoids a little bit more, huh? Did you hear that? Sure, not a grower. Anyways, Jason's like, way too soon, bud. Oh my God, LOL. It's like 6:07 and Love Island hasn't come on Peacock yet. It's supposed to be at 6. Man, they got to get together over at Peacock. This is a big opportunity. Don't be messing with people's emotions like this. Okay, so now we have a scene in the valley, and it's Zach, Nia, I guess Danny's sleeping one off, LOL, Doute, and Brittany. And no, I don't think Luke's there. Anyways, we find out something troubling from Zach, that he doesn't drink water. Yeah, he doesn't drink water and he doesn't like ice. Zach's like, last night, and Brittany's like, what'd you guys do? You weren't invited to the beach. And Nia's like, we went to this great little outdoor bar place with like games to play. And we flash back. It's like Nia, Jesse, Lally, Dan. And by the way, they're just playing some outdoor games, just throwing some sacks. I was like, oh my God, is this like the B team? Like this is the no drama squad. But Nia's like, it was a great night. We're not going to see any of it. And Doty's like, I really wish I was there, but I was at the beach. So everybody gets their orders, and Brittany's like, oh, I got a coffee. It's not a Dos Amigos shot. Somewhere Jax is raging, she drinks all the time. Okay, so all the food is delivered, thankfully. And Doty's like, Brittany, how was your date, your evening after the beach? And Brittany's like, woohoo, it was great. Woo. I just been hanging out with this new guy, and I really like him. He's a dad. He's got a real job and his real responsibilities. His name's Andy Cohen. He's like super. She goes, he's super, and everybody leans in like about to hear like a big dong. And she goes, motivated. And he's like, how'd you meet him? And she goes, hosting a Bachelorette Monday at Jax's. Was this the guy that was like a Bachelor contestant or something? I remember that rumor from way back in the day. Brittany's like, he just got completely different qualities than Jax has. I mean, sending me a good morning text, that should not be like, oh my God, he sent me a good morning text. But it's like little things like that Jax didn't do to me for years that make the biggest difference. So all it takes is a good morning text for Brittany. And remember in the after show, Jax was saying a couple episodes ago that he was like, you know what? She didn't even, like, just all I need is a note by the coffee machine. Just a note saying, I love you. I love you. It's just the little things. So she's saying she never got the little things. But they also say, he's sexy. He's sexy. We're just hanging out. We're just having fun. A little peacock and chill. Even though it doesn't work. But I meant sex. Doty's like, I love when you're laughing and smiling and having fun again. God bless you. And then he's like, how is the beach? I thought the beach was fun, but I don't know if Kristen didn't think it was no fun. And Kristen's like, I did not think it was fun. Jasmine and Luke and I did not think it was fun. Zach goes, to me, it's comical that Janet and Jason, after laughing it off at your party, all of a sudden are making it this huge deal. And Doty's like, yeah, it's confusing. And now saying that Jasmine fully made it up, which is not true whatsoever because I had heard it separately. I like that this rumor was just like all over Los Angeles. Brittany's like, which is what I think Jasmine was trying to say last night. But for some reason, they think that Jasmine made it up. It seems like they've all given marching orders of like, Janet was okay with it at the party, and now we've got to keep repeating that. And Nia's like, honestly, I feel like maybe him and Janet had some conversations, and you know how you can spiral down like rabbit holes, and maybe that's what happened. And Zach's like, Janet, you didn't let Jason off his leash. How could he cheat? Like, come on, let's be real. And Brittany, everybody's laughing. Brittany's like, and Nia's like, I feel like she wants to stir the pot. And I'm like, but why? And then Doute is like Doty's main message the whole season. She goes, I honestly give 0 fucks. When you both shut it down, to me, it's over. But when you bring it back up, now it looks weird. And then Brittany goes, I hope that they can figure this out. Because they've been friends for a long time. Zach's like, Janet wants to like dig her heels in. And I mean, I think this is going to lead into our next conversation anyway. But I just have still been feeling like if Jax does something bad, in the past, you always hide it or like downplay it. And by the way, you can see that Zach already has pre-tears. You know, when you're like, oh, that dude's about to, or that girl's about to cry. Like he has pre-tears. He's like, or like protect him in that moment. even with Janet, you do it in the moment. You're like, oh no, she didn't. She didn't. Oh, like poor Janet, blah, blah, blah. And like, heaven forbid I do or stay or step out of line in any way. I'm either held to this different standard or you don't specifically have my back in that moment. And Doute shakes her head, yes. Doute in a talking head goes, I mean, I think that Zach is right and having an issue that Janet comes between he and Brittany. Yeah, I see that. I also feel the same way about Janet and my friendship with Brittany. Wow. So they are real, like Janet, like they have made her public enemy number one. And by the way, maybe Janet made herself public enemy number one. But like even every time I even freeze the frame, you see Doute's like, it's like the proud look that Mr. Miyagi gives Daniel's son at the end of Karate Kid. He's like, yes, Zach, this is how I've trained you. This is how I have trained you to work in this environment. Yes. Very proud of Zach is like, because Kristen and I, Brittany, are your best friends. And by best, I mean like top here on the shelf that Jared and Janet are. Like in the back of like at the very bottom with the dust webs. And Brittany's like, you guys are all my best friend. I think Brittany just really loves attention. Like everybody wants to be nice to me. Everyone, I want little old me, want to be my friend. Amazing. She's like, I'm very lucky that I have so many close friends in my life. But guess what? If I'm talking to them, I want to tell them your guys' point of view. I do the exact same thing. I promise you. Zach's like, the Brittany that I knew in the past is not the Brittany that I am here with today. And I think she's been cloned. And it kind of sucks because we've been through so much. And it kind of sucks. And I don't know why she has pushed me away when I'm always the one she calls in a crisis when I've been nothing but supportive. And I have never once faltered in our friendship. And I wear swim trunks with her face on it. Brittany's like, well, I don't want you to like anytime that something small happens, you be like, well, she likes Janet better than me because that's not true. Zach has a cough. He goes, ooh, visceral reaction. And Brittany kind of shoots him a look and he shoots one back. Cut to commercial. So we cut from that scene and we go to a lymphatic drainage massage with Danny and Nia. And so Danny's like, there's a lot of toxic people in my life. So this is supposed to get the toxic out. You know, you could just not be on the reality show. That will also do it. But let's try the lymphatic drainage massage. And there's all these like positive sayings on the wall. And he's like, these are all your positive sayings. I am smart. I am beautiful. I am strong. I am unique. I am kind. I am powerful. I am. And then Danny's like, I am perfectly myself. I am perfectly myself. I don't feel perfectly myself yet, you know? And he goes, you are perfect. And she goes, nope, Daniel, nope. Thanks for trying, but nope. I'm working on it though. Daniel's like, I hear ya. Lymphatic drainage massage also helps get that alcohol out. Ayo. But then she talks about the actual very real effects of, you know, having so many kids and your body changing and skin on the stomach loose and the boobs drooping. And Danny's like, you've never heard me complain. And Nia's like, doesn't help what's going on in my head. Dude, by the way, this is like, Nia's a really fascinating character too, because there's a war going on in her head. And this is somebody that leads with positivity and peace and the Lord. But she seems like she is really struggling with a smile on her face. And she just keeps talking about not wanting her kids spaced too far apart in years. So I don't want to wait multiple years. Spoiler alert, she's about to give birth any day now. And, you know, he just keeps saying, I want you to be happy. And I think the first step is go, you know, let's go get checked with the fertility doctor and see where we're at. And we can fully decide on something. And get that house in Santa Clarita. Yeah. So then they get the lymphatic drainage massage. I mean, it looks nice. Do you think that one day maybe we'll have like Danny and Nia +8, like a John and Kate +8 situation? You know, like, I mean, it could happen. Anyways, we go to Janet and Jason's house. This is when it starts getting real good. And Janet is in a ball pit with their baby son, Cameron, 8 months old, very cute, right? And Jason's there, and Jason's like, thank God for him, huh? And Jason's like, I don't know how you would have gotten through today if you didn't have him. And Janet's like, I haven't been in a situation since he's been born where I've been like crying all day for like hours at a time. So this is really like this Jasmine thing dented, you know, like I truly don't think Janet gives a rip about what Doute thinks, but the Jasmine thing hurt her, right? And then she says, I think Cameron, our son, can sense that I'm upset and I don't want that energy. And Jason's like, yeah, you don't want that energy. He's such a happy baby. And I was like, well, it could also be the strange cameraman standing 3 feet away from baby Cameron. That he can sense something's off. Yeah, there's a cameraman right there. But Janet's like, I'm about to cry. And Jason like goes up to like comfort her. And, you know, this is a very real relationship. And there's not room in the ball pit for Jason to get in there. And Janet's like, I was looking today at all these pictures and, you know, and she's like, Cameron knows. And Cameron's passed off to Jason. And now it's just Janet in a ball pit. And Jason's like, when we were talking to her, Jasmine, the way that she looked at you and spoke to you was if you were just like the scum of the earth. And Cameron fusses like, not again, please. And Janet's crying. She's like, I just don't understand what's going on. Be careful what you wish for, man. Like reality television, it will do a psychological number on you. Janet says, this hurts really bad. It feels like being dumped out of nowhere. She says, Jasmine's been a close friend of mine for many years and a talking head. And we see all of these pictures of them in the past. And she's like, I feel like she's kind of discarding our friendship. And Janet says, I don't want to cry in front of him. I might take him over to my mom's for a little bit. Remember, Janet's mom lives in the back house. And Janet says she doesn't have the same care for me that I have for her. So it's honestly really sad. And no matter what you think of Janet, that is Janet's real feelings about the situation, right? So they drop the baby off at the mom. Jason comes back in and they're sitting on the couch. She's having some Aveline wine. And then we hear a cell phone chime. Who could it be, folks? And then Jason goes, well, hey, like I have like 5 missed calls from Jax. And Janet's like, call him back, but has he been FaceTiming you or what? And Jason's like, yeah, I guess this facility, yeah, it's like a full setup. It's always full video setup over there. And he's like, you know what? I'm just going to FaceTime him. And Janet's like, can I be not in the shot? So they switch places. Also, Glennie Linux, who listens to my show every time, pointed this out in our Facebook group and said, you can see that there's an iPhone that Jason has and an Android. Jason he has an iPhone and an Android. What? Okay. Switch hitter, man. And the cell phone chimes and it's Jax in his Jax's Studio City hat. You know, just that like the Blair Witch lighting, you know, and he's like, what's up, Jax? And by the way, Jason's actually going through something. I wonder if Jax ever checks in on Jason. I said that last week. And Jason's like, how you doing? How you feeling? What are you doing? Just learning and growing? What are you doing? Learning, growing? Did you get to basic math yet? What's going on over there? Because today was kind of a rough day. Just kind of with my therapy. I mean, overall, it's been really, really good. We went to the movies today. I saw a triple feature, but no, it was really, really helpful. And I got into some old stuff today. Just trying to really figure out where my anger is coming from. I'm so tired of anger. I'm so tired of yelling. I lost it all when I found about Julian, my best friend. Yes, that's awful. But I also pushed her away. I pushed her away and I didn't even fucking see it. And Janet's to the side shaking her head like, yep. So this is the softer side of Jax. Is Jax actually getting something out of therapy? He goes, I didn't even realize what I was doing. He's like, God, I love that tree trunk. I've just gotten away with it for so long that he goes, she let me get away with it. It's on her. She let me get away with it for so long that I found this to be acceptable behavior. And it's obviously not. And I come in here, it's a wake up call. And like, I know how I grew up. And he says, I have to think my dad put me here for a reason because he's like, enough's enough. So he says his dad from beyond like was one of the reasons that he got there on top of, I think, the Bravo production wanting him there. And he's like, you're going to do what you did, I did to you, which is fat. That little nugget right there, all joking aside. So Jax from the show, we know, has always seemed like he had like idolized his dad. I think he got into a major blow up with his mom that he still doesn't talk to because of not finding out his dad was sick in time, if I'm not mistaken. And remember, he had that bottle of Fireball that was for his dad. And like, there was, I mean, obviously, I know I feel the same way about my mom, but but then this line of him saying that his dad's like, my dad put me in here. And my dad's like, you're going to do what you did to your son, I did to you. And I was like, what is that? But Jack says he wants to break the cycle. I really, really do. It hurts, man. It hurts. And Janet's kind of like quietly crying to the side. And Jackson, a talking head, goes, there's so much hurt. Like, look at that shit that I put her through. Look at this. And we flash back to season 1 of The Valley. And Brittany's like, I live for my kid. Literally the only thing I even care about in this world. And Jackson's like, don't cry. There's no reason. That's the alcohol you're drinking. And Brittany's like, I can't even have an emotion. And he goes, no, you can't. Dark. And then the other scene from last season with like, how much was she drinking on the boat? And Brittany's like, everybody can hear. I can hear you. Everybody here has my back. And you're my fucking husband. And you're trying to make me look like I'm a bad person? Rotten hell. You know, talking head, Jack says, I'm so used to treating her like shit that I just didn't even see it because she let me get away with it for so long. She let me, it's really on her. She let me get it. It's her fault. We all see it, right? In the FaceTime call, he says, I wish I was held more accountable. I wish Brittany would have left me a fucking long time ago, bro. And he's sniffling. He's crying. Janet in the talking head goes, I'm hearing an acknowledgement from Jax that he realizes that his behavior was inappropriate and has been inappropriate for a while. It's a good start. And I'm hopeful that it's the beginning of change. And I feel like it's a baby step in the right direction, and we'll see what happens from here. Okay, so you're like, okay, like if they ended this episode, you might have like a 5% hope that Jax has really is changing his ways or thinking about changing his ways, right? Also, I want to really quickly point out, what did I say last week in the Valley recap? I said, who did I talk to? I was talking to Carlos King on his podcast last week. I said, if you're a producer, and Carlos is a producer, how do you, like Janet's taking all the fire right now. Like she is the big bad of the season. How do you even it out? And he was like, are they just going to show a baby scene? And that's what they did this week. They brought Cameron in so you can see the softer side of Janet. Okay, so back to Jason. Jason tells Jax, he goes, I will say this, Jax. If you want to make strides with Brittany and like get this going, I know something that's really been weighing and stressing her out is the mortgage. She says that like it hasn't been paid in a while. And I think that would be a really good step forward if you could get up to date on the mortgage. And Jackson's like, I have a situation for that. Brittany and I have a very successful podcast. It makes a lot of money, a lot. I talked to my manager and she just gets the full amount until we pay off what needs to be paid off. Now, I just don't have the funds just to pay off what I owe, right? That's the best way to do it. There's only so many things I can sell on eBay. And Jason's like, I mean, that makes sense. I got to say, I've talked to you a few times, Jax, when you've been in here. This is the first time where I've talked to you where you've literally taken full accountability for things and not said like, I messed up, but Brittany did this, or I messed up, but this happened. Like you're taking full accountability like this. I'm seeing a legitimate change. And Janet's shaking her head like she agrees. And Jackson's like, this place has just made me realize that shit, I need to wake up here. By the way, stay there. Yes. And Jason's like, this is great to hear, man. This is the best call I've ever had with you. Holy, that's the best call you've ever had with Jax? Jason in a talking head says, Jax is someone who I care about and I want to see him do well in life. And, he wasn't doing well for a little while there. And on that call, it really felt like a turning point for him. And it felt like he had an epiphany and just really saw exactly what was happening and was ready to make changes. And he tells him, I really am proud of you, Jax. I really am. And Jax is like, I hope I get to see you the day I get out of here. We'll get some drinks, maybe do some blood. No, he goes, maybe we'll go get a haircut or something. Yeah, boys, getting haircuts, right? I love you, buddy, Jason says. All right, take care of yourself. I'm not going to ask you how you're doing. Give my best to Janet, and I'll talk to you soon. And so it's a very hopeful conversation. In the after show, he says his podcast makes $1 million a year. And that blew me. I mean, like I'll get into the valley and be like upset. That was the thing that upset me the most about this. I was like, wait a sec. I'll see, like, I think my show charts somewhere near their show. I'm like, wait a sec. What? Am I getting like the raw end of the deal, or is Jax potentially lying? Who knows? Maybe it's like brand deals on top of the podcast. I don't know. I know they're famous, in the reality show sense, but I heard that. I was like, what? $1 million? Anyways, they get off and Jason's like, wow. And Janet's like, that hit. That was, Jason's like, yeah, he got me too. You just got jaxed. And Jason's kind of crying. He's like, I'm crying nonstop. I've cried like 20 times in like the last 5 days. Sleep deprived. And then Janet's like, I love you. So they are strong, right? Doute has not broken them apart. Jasmine has not broken them apart. So we're left with sort of a good feeling from that scene. And then we cut to the last scene. And Brittany is back in the marital home, right? And we see that the cameras have been uncovered. And Brittany's like, Mom, come here. Come here, Mom. I need you to hold my ladder. She says in a talking head, now that Jax is moving into the condo, which I'm still so pissed about, at least from all of this, me and Cruz get to move into our house where we belong. I've taken over the mortgage, even though I've got 2.5 more months paid up in this rental, so I'm paying double now. And then Brittany goes, he's hid the ladder for me so that I cannot replace the stuff. What a weirdo, Brittany says. So Jax has hid the ladder so she can't recover the cameras. So she then pulls out the chair that I think that these are the same chairs that Jax like threw in a rage in the beginning of the season, we were told, right? And so she's going to stand on one of these. And I was like, oh my God, Jax has probably greased that down so you fall. Be careful, Brittany. So she's like, he's not going to spy on me whenever he had it covered the entire time he was here. 2 can play this game, buddy. Now, and then Brittany's mom goes, now he's blocked by Brittany. And they share their daughter chuckle. She goes, my plan moving forward is my rental is just going to sit there vacant for 2.5 months. Luckily, I'm doing okay and I can afford it right now, but I got to figure something out because that's a lot of money. And they call Jax's sister, Auntie Jenny, on the phone. FaceTime, right? And Cruzy, goes, hey, Cruzy's there. And I will say, Brittany, like, just picked, like, hey, Auntie. It's just like through all of this trauma and drama, she's just always smiley. Woo! So they put Cruz, like, take Cruz away. And Brittany's like, I want to catch up with you, obviously, on everything. I know we've talked here and there, but did I tell you that he hasn't paid the mortgage since May? And Jenny's like, yeah, I did hear something, yeah. And then she goes, my wedding ring and my wedding bands are missing. They're not in the safe. They're nowhere in the house, nothing. Don't know where they are. This poor Janet Jackson's like, buddy, I need you to do a mission for me. Can you go get these rings for me? I need you to take them to Kyle Chan's immediately. But I don't understand. And then all of a sudden we hear a producer's voice or like some random voice say, Britt. And a producer walks in and goes, I just got a text from Jax. And she shows her the text. And the text is, make sure you get that on film. I can hear everything. Childish behavior. And Brittany's reading it. What? He can't hear. You can't hear anything. Do you think he put a bug in here? She asked the producer. And the producer goes, how does he know I'm here? The producer seems legitimately scared of, this is what scared me. It was like, the producer goes, how does he know I'm even here? Am I safe? And then Brittany goes, oh God. And Jax's sister is on FaceTime. And Brittany's like, oh, Jenny, why is he like this? In a talking head, she goes, unless he put some little secret devices around this house, our interior cameras don't have sound. Oh my God. He took the time out of rehab to come take off the coverings of the camera and put listening devices and take the rings. But Brittany goes, we're speaking about Jax Taylor here. I don't put anything past him anymore. And then his sister goes, uh-oh, Jax is calling me. And Brittany's like, well, I love you. You can talk to him and just, let's stay in contact the next couple days. What? No, I want to see the conversation between Jenny and Jax. And Brittany's like, Jesus. I mean, that is like, he has listening devices. He's everywhere. Jenny calls Brittany back. She's like, what happened? And then Jenny's like, he's going to the hospital. She's like, what do you mean? His blood pressure is like super high. And Brittany's like, what? Why? And Jenny goes, you guys putting stickers, you and Sherry, like putting stuff over the cameras. Sherry's her mom. And Brittany's like, well, yeah, I was recovering the cameras, obviously. Is he even really doing that, or is he trying to freak me out? And then the lady's like, the sister's like, I could hear they were driving, but that could be anywhere. These people let him go anywhere. But like, what is going on? And Brittany goes, my biggest fear is before he got in there, and this is where they pan over to Cruz, and you're like, oh man, your heart breaks. And Brittany's like, I was thinking he was going to have a heart attack. And then Jenny's like, both of my uncles have died before the age of 50. And Sherry, the mom, is just like, ugh. And Brittany's like, God, even as mad and angry as I am, I don't want anything to happen to him. And Brittany's like, ugh. All right, just please text me. I love you. Oh my gosh. So Jax is being carted off potentially to the hospital because of high blood pressure. And also the other question, like, these facilities, don't they have like medical parts of the facility? Anyways, Brittany goes, oh, Mom, look, Jack just wrote me this really long email saying that in terms of the mortgage, I've been trying to contact the bank to pay off what is owed, but they let me know the home is in foreclosure. And after this month, I will not be paying anything more. You will be responsible until we sell the house. In a talking head, Brittany goes, when Jax does things like this, it's so hard to know what's real. Or is he just wanting attention? And Sherry's like, why are you responsible? Brittany goes, what a fool. What a fool believes. Brittany goes, I was hopeful that being in the facility would make some kind of change or open his eyes a little bit to do something better. But based on his behavior, the whole time he's been in there, I am so worried that he has not learned a damn thing. And then we cut back to Brittany with the mom, and she's like, and he's like saying we share the podcast 50-50. He's just told Janet and Jason that he was going to let me have all the money from the podcast. I hate when we fight about podcasts. Come on. It's on film. This should be admissible in court. Sherry's like, he's not even done the podcast in how long? And Brittany's like, he hadn't done the podcast in like 2 or 3 months. Poor Ron Bailey's doing one every day. She goes, I've done everything, but now look at him. Ugh. How can he do this to me? What in the world? Now her voice is, what in the world did I do to deserve this? And Sherry's like, you didn't do anything, Brittany. And she's just like kind of scrolling her phone, and you can tell she's upset. The dog's upset. Cruz is upset, I think. I mean, like, you know, and then she's like, Cruzy, come here. We're going to be all right, buddy. Give Mama love. Come on, give Mama love. Don't you lick that booger. Don't you lick that. Because he's trying to lick his booger. And when I was watching it originally, I was licking my booger. I was like, oh my God, is she, there's cameras in my house. She's like, don't lick that booger, Ryan Bailey. Don't do it. Oh, I love you, Cruzy. I love you. Mommy's got us. So a big end of strength for Brittany, but my God, the house is now allegedly in foreclosure, which I don't know if that is a lie. I don't know what to trust when it comes to Jax. He's just spewing lies and anger everywhere. But then to Jason, this is classic Jax. And you just want to be like Jax. Like, people want to, like, look at, it is so, I've talked about this dude for so many years. Like, come on, now is the time to change. Like, all of the bad stuff happens with this type of behavior for him. Like, come on. And like, I do worry at a point, it is going to cost him his job. And then we're like, next week on the Valley, and we have Jax and the Blair Witch, like camera. He's like, I'm pretty excited to walk out that door. I have anxiety, I'm anxious, I'm scared. And then we have Brittany meeting with a divorce lawyer. And Brittany going, can I start the filing process today? And the divorce lawyer's like, yeah. And then we have all the gang bringing Brittany over to Jax's saloon, and they've covered up the sign Jax, and it says Brits. And it's Brits Bar, you guys. And then we see like Dark Side Danny. Maybe Danny has drank too much, and Nia's telling Danny, stop. And Janet goes, it's because he's Danny Darkside right now. And Danny's like, what did you say? What did you say? And Jason's like, you're being weird right now. Just fucking relax. And Janet's like, this is Dark Side Danny at its finest. And Danny's like, wow, wow. And Janet's like, we have nothing to hide. And Janet's like, my husband's not the one out here grabbing asses. And so it looks like it's another really positive episode of The Valley next week. We'll be doing The Valley after show over on the Patreon like Friday night, Saturday. So that is something to look forward to if you consider hell something to look forward to. But thank you so much for being here today. Really long one. Sometimes I go long. I always go long. Anyways, thank you, thank you, thank you. Friday will be the Summer House recap. And that's it. I'm so happy to not be talking about this show anymore. Okay, off to watch Love Island. Bye.